Picture this. It's the dead of night, around 2 a.m., and there's this scratching sound at my front door, like nails dragging across wood in a horror flick. Only this isn't some ghost story. It's real life. And the intruder is Evelyn Hart, our self-appointed neighborhood queen bee, fumbling with what she thinks is her all-powerful master key to my secluded cabin on the old man Harlan's 40-acre spread, her flashlight dancing wildly across the windows as if she's auditioning for a low-budget thriller, muttering about community rules and surprise checks, all while I'm wide awake inside, heart pounding not from fear, but from this deep, simmering rage that's been building for years, the kind that mixes with the phantom aches from my service days, reminding me of ambushes I'd rather forget. And my wife Olivia Grant, sharp as a blade and calm under pressure, is already on the line with emergency services, her voice steady like she's cross-examining a witness in court. This is Deputy U.S. Attorney Olivia Grant, reporting an active burglary attempt on protected land. The perpetrator is trespassing right now. Send units immediately. And Evelyn's shrill protest cuts through the darkness. This is association business. I have authority here. But Olivia shoots back without missing a beat. Lady, you're breaking federal law. Don't move a muscle. And in that moment, as the sirens start wailing in the distance, growing from a faint whine to a full-throated roar that echoes off the surrounding hills, I can't help but think back to how we got here. This explosive confrontation that's been 3 long, grueling years in the making. A tale of inheritance turned nightmare, of quiet healing shattered by petty tyranny, and the unbreakable bond that held us together through it all, our love a quiet force against the encroaching chaos. Let me pull you into the story properly, because it didn't start with that midnight showdown. No, it began with the crunch of tires on gravel, the last time old man Harlan's battered old truck rolled up to what was once his isolated haven in what felt like the edge of the world, back when Ethan Reed, a 34-year-old vet left broken by an explosion that twisted my back into something unrecognizable, inherited this patch of earth in 2022. Key detail being that it used to be miles from anyone, surrounded by whispering pines and open skies that stretched endlessly, offering a silence broken only by the occasional call of a distant owl or the rustle of leaves in the wind. But now, oh now, it's hemmed in by these identical suburban palaces popping up everywhere, manicured lawns and uniform fences closing in like a noose. And somehow our land got roped into the Oak Ridge Meadows Community Association, a fancy name for a group that promised harmony but delivered hell, with endless meetings and bylaws that felt more like chains than guidelines. Olivia, my rock, a federal attorney who cuts through corruption like a hot knife through butter, specializing in rights abuses. We met at the Veterans Wellness Clinic where she was dismantling a scam operation, her questions precise and unrelenting, and I was just trying to piece together a life with constant pain that echoes like distant gunfire in my mind. She saw something in me beyond the scars, the way her eyes softened when I shared my stories, and together we turned this ranch into our refuge, off the grid with humming solar arrays that catch the dawn light in a golden haze. A deep well pulling up pure water that tastes like freedom after a long drought. Propane setups that whisper reliability with their faint metallic tang in the air, and I built ramps everywhere, adapted the barn into a space where I could lose myself in carving wood, feeling the grain under my fingers smoothing out the chaos in my soul. You know that quiet magic where creation drowns out the memories, the shavings curling away like peeled worries? Then came Evelyn Hart, 52. A realtor with a glare that could curdle milk, rolling into town 5 years back from some urban sprawl, cruising the streets in her SUV like a general on patrol, her horn blaring at any perceived infraction, and before anyone could blink, she'd rammed through the association's creation with sweet talk about upholding values and keeping things pristine. But really, it was her blueprint for control, purging anyone who didn't match her polished ideal, her voice at meetings dripping with false concern while her eyes scanned for weaknesses. Her opening salvo hit our solar panels, installed by old man Harlan way back in '95, calling them eyesores that dragged down the vibe, ignoring how they'd been there forever, grandfathered in without question, their weathered surfaces a testament to decades of self-reliance. Then she zeroed in on our sturdy propane cylinders, labeling them too rugged for her taste, even though they're standard for any rural spot like ours. Practical necessities that hummed softly through cold winters, and they fine notice landed like a bomb, delivered by certified post that rumbled up our drive like doom on wheels, demanding $2,000 a day until we ripped everything out. 30 days to bow down or else. The paper crisp and official, but reeking of overreach. I dug up Old Man Harlan's original papers, all legit and filed properly, yellowed edges speaking to their age, marched them straight to Evelyn's downtown office, figuring it was a mix-up, but she barely glanced up, dismissing it with a wave. Grandfather clauses don't cover recent editions, not under our board's watch. And when I pointed out the timeline, her eyes locked on mine with this chilling calculation, not anger, just cold strategy. We all share the burden of property prestige, Mr. Reed. Surely a serviceman like you gets the value of order, spitting out serviceman like it left a bad taste, her manicured nails tapping impatiently, and right then, I knew this wasn't about panels or tanks. It was her deciding I didn't fit, a disabled guy on a ranch clashing with her vision of flawless lawns and matching mailboxes, the injustice of it burning in my chest like the old wounds flaring up on rainy days. Back home, Olivia clutched that notice until her fingers whitened, her eyes narrowing with that fierce protectiveness I fell for. Sweetheart, Evelyn Hart just stepped into a minefield she'll regret. And as she dove into the legal weeds, pacing the room with files in hand, I felt this spark of hope amid the unfairness, our love turning into a shield against the storm brewing, her hand squeezing mine in quiet reassurance. But bullies don't stop at words, they escalate, and Evelyn's next jab was a thick envelope demanding an inside tour of our home, citing some vague safety gripe from an unnamed complainer, threatening $5,000 daily if we refused, the demands typed in bold as if shouting, and Olivia, poring over it with courtroom precision, declared, "This screams Fourth Amendment breach. Associations control outsides, not our private spaces. She has zero right to invade." Yet that's the game, preying on ignorance. So I combed through the association's charter, every tedious page of jargon that blurred after hours, finding no basis for internal probes, just exterior stuff. A reminder that these groups can't barge in without real cause or judicial backing. The fine print a labyrinth, but yielding truth. Our neighbor Victor Lang, 73, a retired attorney with stories etched in his wrinkles, dropped by with coffee on the porch, the steam rising in the cooling air, revealing Evelyn had pulled this on others, like the Jenkins family who sold cheap under duress, her firm scooping up the deal with predatory speed. And as the pine-scented evening wrapped around us, it hit me. This was no random hassle. It was a calculated push to profit from pain, the by kitsch of good folks driven out for greed, fueling my resolve to fight back, not just for us, but for everyone she'd trampled, the weight of community injustice settling like a shared burden. The pressure ramped up fast, 2 days past her deadline, and suddenly fire engines roared onto our property at dawn, lights flashing like a bad dream, sirens piercing the early mist that clung to the trees, claiming a gas leak endangering everyone. But after poking around with meters beeping and hoses at the ready, the chief shook his head. All good, no issues, but that false call fee? $3,000 on you. And when he phoned Evelyn for confirmation, her better safe than sorry rang hollow, his weary look hinting at her habit of weaponizing services, a light chuckle escaping me at the absurdity. But underneath, the tension coiled tighter, this woman turning everyday life into a battlefield, her meddling disrupting the peace we'd carved out. That night, Olivia hunched over papers at the table, mapping out each attack with colored markers and timelines. It's not isolated hits, it's a deliberate pattern to break you, especially as a vet with rights protections, her notes building like evidence in a trial, dates, details, dollars, showing how one event snowballs into systemic abuse. And in federal eyes, that's gold for proving intent, the unfairness gnawing at me. But her determination, born from love and justice, kept me grounded, her occasional glance my way filled with unspoken vows. I wired up cameras the next day, simple but solid, catching every inch of our land with lenses hidden among the branches, legal in our area for visible spots, sensing we'd need proof against her sly maneuvers. And Victor helped with the last mount, quipping, She's directing her own downfall film without knowing. His wry humor lightening the load as we prepped for more storms, the wires snaking like veins of defense. Then came the sabotage, waking to oily water in our taps, rainbow slicks betraying diesel dump that fouled the crisp taste we'd cherished, propane lines slashed with deliberate cuts, solar feeds severed clean through, all while we'd been away at Olivia's folks for a rare weekend escape. Thousands in fixes looming like a financial specter, our sanctuary poisoned in a way that twisted my gut with violation. Yet it fueled our counterstrike, the betrayal deepening our bond as we cleaned up. Together, under the safe water laws, that's federal territory, heavy fines and jail, so Victor rallied experts, county testers in hazmat gear, state water pros with clipboards flying, EPA enforcers swarming like a scene from a docudrama, samples taken in vials that glinted under the sun, contamination confirmed with lab reports stacking up, Evelyn's handprints everywhere through trace tools and timelines. But she didn't fold. No, she called an urgent assembly, slapping a $15,000 levy per home for safety upgrades. The room thick with anxiety, cheap coffee stale and chairs scraping nervously, her slides slick but empty, ignoring how most were retirees scraping by on pensions that barely covered basics. And when Sophia Ruiz, the diner owner who'd fed us all for decades with hearty meals and kind words, protested affordability, Evelyn's grin turned shark-like, leans for the greater good. But Victor rose, voice steady amid the murmurs. Bylaws demand 2/3 vote. No quorum here. This reeks of extortion. The silence electric, and as Olivia whispered, it's a shakedown racket. The twist hit. This was her scheme to flip lands for profit, not standards. The injustice hitting like a gut punch. Our family haven targeted for greed. The revelation spreading like wildfire through whispered conversations. Her retaliation? Fake reports of me as a threat, stockpiling arms, leading to cop visits, deputies polite but probing with flashlights sweeping the rooms, and I welcomed them in, showing my therapy gear, with tools gleaming under lights, locked rifles in their cabinet. Nothing amiss, them apologizing for the hassle, calling it clear harassment by the third time, the annoyance in their eyes mirroring mine. This woman abusing the system to isolate us. Her calls logged as evidence of her malice. Online, she posted veiled jabs about troublemakers, cryptic enough to evade direct blame, but pointed like arrows. Olivia archiving each one with timestamps and analytics, building the dossier methodically. Then the low blow, a legal threat from her firm accusing me of intimidation, hinting at yanking my benefits with veiled warnings, the cruelty of it. Attacking my lifeline as a disabled vet who relied on those for meds and mobility, but Olivia's eyes gleamed. That's ADA violation, federal. Retaliation. Her smile fierce, protective love shining through as she mobilized contacts late into the night. PTSD week brought a vet cookout at Sophia's place. Word spreading of Evelyn's threats like gossip over grills, drawing support like a wave. The diner turning hub with steaming pots and maps unfurled on counters, vets from afar pledging aid with stories of their own battles. This fight's for all who've given enough. The community bond easing the pain. Olivia stacking evidence. 47 events detailed in spreadsheets. Dozen witnesses with sworn statements. Agencies probing with official letters. Arriving daily. Precedents for big wins pulled from case law books. Her strategy patient, letting Evelyn self-destruct while we fortified. A late-night email from Victor unearthed a 1987 clause needing court orders for access. No master keys allowed without due process. The document scanned and highlighted, and Olivia's digs revealed Evelyn's embezzling through convoluted transfers, flipping harassed homes for $340,000 untaxed, IRS bait with audits looming, plus debts mounting like unpaid bills, 60-day crunch pressing her. Her desperation our weapon, the financial web unraveling thread by thread. Hardware whispers confirmed key copies, illegal dubs for break-ins from a distant store, premeditation locked in with receipts traced, the tension peaking as we baited the trap, leaving gaps in patrols during her known routes. Cams primed with extra storage, neighbors vigilant in shifts, federal nets ready with warrants drafted, the cinematic build-up to her fall, heart racing with justified vengeance. Our family's resilience shining brighter amid the shadows. Evelyn's mask cracked with hate graffiti on our walls. Cripples out. Leeches unwelcome. Scrawled in dripping paint that ran like blood under moonlight. A rotting carcass on the stoop. Stench hitting like betrayal mixed with decay that lingered for days. But cams nailed her contractors again. Footage showing masked figures in the dead of night. Them flipping fast under Fed pressure with interrogations yielding details. Confessing her $5,000 payoff and vile slur. Disabled fold easy. The buy. Kitsch raw and personal. Yet Olivia channeled it into calls to FBI terror units. This targets protected vets. Her fury controlled, exploding in precision strikes of subpoenas and filings. She bribed a commissioner to squash probes, but recordings caught it in crystal audio, his hesitant drawl giving away the scheme, adding corruption charges that branched into wider investigations, her posts escalating to threats against freeloaders, hate crimes stacking with each like. Sophia's crew screenshotting relentlessly from multiple devices. And when she tried cashing a deputy with $5,000 envelope slipped discreetly. Ignore the vet calls. He turned it in immediately. Obstruction. Sealing her fate with internal affairs reports piling on. The spiral mesmerizing. Each act deepening her grave. Our love-tested bond unbreakable amid the storm. Late nights huddled planning our next moves. Deadline looming. She scouted our place obsessively. Exhaust fumes lingering like dread in the driveway ruts. A dry run at midnight spooked by lights flooding the yard. But Thursday 2 a.m. she struck. Keys scraping futilely. I'd swapped locks post-tip with new tumblers gleaming. Then crowbar on windows. Noise shattering the quiet like cracking ice. Olivia dialing coolly. Burglary in progress. Federal link. Armed and watching. Her authority unshakable as dispatch crackled back. Evelyn. Panicking, ranting rights in a frantic whisper, but deputies encircled silent on foot, cuffing her mid-pry with metal cold against her wrists, her babble confessing all. I run this, they don't fit. Every frame captured in high res. Witnesses abound from hidden vantage points. The climax bursting in that click of steel. Years of injustice cresting into triumph. Relief washing over us like dawn light. The crisis meeting 2 days later overflowed the hall. Media buzzing with cameras rolling and reporters jostling. Coffee bitter with anticipation and overflow cups spilling. Evelyn post-bail. Wrecked and wild with smudged makeup and trembling hands. Her lawyer futile as Victor opened. Addressing the fraud empire under association cover. Her outburst cut by Olivia. Folder heavy with proof compiled over sleepless weeks. As Deputy U.S. Attorney, I detail rights abuses, poisoning, racketeering. Listing charges that drained her color to ashen. Sophia accusing theft with voice cracking from emotion. The crowd rumbling like thunder building. Evelyn exploding in slurs. He ruins values. None like him belong. Olivia recording on her phone. That's exhibit for hate trial. 10 years minimum. Her breakdown epic. Threats flying wildly as deputies moved in. Applause thundering as she vanished in cuffs. The release cathartic. Our family's victory sweet and hard-earned. 5 years locked away. $200,000 repaid through asset sales. Branded offender forever. Her words her undoing broadcast nationwide. But true win was rebirth. Association Act for a cooperative group with open forums. Victor leading aid funds from her grabs distributed fairly. Values soaring post-news glow with families moving in drawn by the story. Sophia's spot a hub with pies baking daily and council sessions free. My barn now Oak Ridge Veterans Forge, healing dozens through hands-on sessions. And shared tales. Olivia and I forged stronger. Her task force born from our files. Scholarships sending vets ahead with full rides. Clinic aiding statewide against similar foes. Precedents rippling to bust more schemes and ripple effects. Our barbecue drawing hundreds annually. Laughter over scars mingling with grill smoke. Purpose from pain transforming isolation to leadership. Home now true sanctuary. Justice proving patient but potent. The cycle of healing complete. Now, as the credits roll on this real-life saga, I wonder, was our stand the right path? Or does fighting fire with fire blur moral lines? Does true justice demand exposure? Or can mercy redeem even the worst tyrants? Share your take below. Have you faced similar shadows? And how far would you go for what's fair?